following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Don't adjust your screen. There is nothing wrong. You're about to enter a world where the very concept of time is rendered obsolete by the sheer power of entertainment. You're about to enter the Boggis Hour. Deep in the heart of the Game City, the host of the Boggis Hour, Greg Boggis!
Welcome to another episode of the Boggis Hour. Tonight, I interview a young filmmaker by the name of Pedro Pimentel, who just released a short film called The Priest, and my long interview with a good friend and longtime comedian, actor, juggler, clown, Mike Petrovic.
Father, we need your help. Daughter.
How is she?
It hasn't been easy. Mary and I have tried everything to cure her, but nothing seems to work.
Mr. McWilliams, will you describe for me what aspect of your daughter's behavior is raising such concern?
Hey, here I am with Pedro Pimentel, a filmmaker from Concord, New Hampshire, who just premiered The Priest in Concord this past week. So tell me who you are and how'd you end up making this movie?
So my name is Pedro Pimentel. I'm an independent filmmaker from Concord, New Hampshire. And I've been working on The Priest since February 2015. And we finally got it done back in September, and we just got to release the movie for the first time to the public at Red River Theaters in Concord. And it was a really great turnout. People loved the movie, and that was a very satisfying thing to see.
Yeah, it was great. I saw the movie, went to the premiere, and congratulations to you. Congratulations to Red River Theaters for giving you the premiere. Short film, it was only 15 minutes long, so it was powerful. And it was controversial. It had a lot of interesting and provocative elements to it. How did you find that particular movie, or did you write it, and who helped you, and how did it come to be?
Yes, I wrote the movie. It was midwinter when I found this news article online about a very thought-provocative story, and I thought it would be really interesting to see a movie made out of that. And I decided to make this movie and change a little bit of the story, so it would still keep all the privacy when it comes to the people that are actually involved in the original story. And we made this story happen, a little bit a while ago, just so it's a little bit different. And it was my first time directing a short film with people that are much older than me, with more professional actors and everything, which was a really interesting experience. And for the first time, we shot on location. We shot at Kimball Jenkins Estate, which is a Victorian building from Concord. And it was built back in the 1800s, and it was a gorgeous location for the movie.
Yeah, it's got a very kind of an older Gothic feel to it.
Yes.
It's got these nice dark bricks and stones, and it's got a really interesting presence, and it was a great choice of location that you ended up with.
Thank you. But yeah, it was a very cool location because of the fact that it has so much history to it, and we thought that it would add a lot to the movie. And the actors were absolutely amazing performances that we got from Craig, from Michael Coppola, and Mary Ferrara, and Isabella Colomb, who played the daughter, and a lot of support from local people, from people from the area that are just supporting the movie, helping us fundraising, and always were there for us, trying to know what was going on, if we needed any help. They were very, very supportive of everything.
So you did the entire movie, you cast it, You wrote it, you filmed it, and I had talked to you earlier about the score, the musical score, and you had an interesting story about the gentleman that did the score for the movie. If you could share with the audience, that would be
Yes,
great.
the guy who did the music for our movie was Spencer Cregan. He lives in Canada, in Toronto, Canada. And I met Spencer through somebody that I met on YouTube in 2007 because of, sharing.
And you weren't, as you said, you weren't even living in the United States
No,
at the
no,
time.
no, that was bad. I was living back in Brazil when that happened. And I met Spencer when I was already living here, but I heard of him much before that. And it was really good because this is our 5th project together, Spencer and I. We've been making films since 2011. That's when we did our first short, Accursed. And
That was when you were a student.
that was when I was back in high school.
And you said you've done 6 movies
6
now?
movies or so, yes. A couple of them were not with songs by other bands and things like that, so it was not an original soundtrack.
Well, like a music video,
Like,
essentially?
not necessarily a music video, but instead of featuring an original soundtrack, we're featuring songs from
okay.
bands and instrumentals that we found online and stuff.
As opposed to having, as you said, this was scored
To the
for
movie,
this
yes.
film. Now, have you ever actually met him in person, or it's
We
just
haven't met in person. No.
Which is always a fascinating thing in film. You have these
all through Facebook.
these great connections with people that you never even know in the meet space, as they call it.
Definitely, but it's our first submission to Sundance, so hopefully, if we get in, we're
Knock on wood for you.
Yeah, we're gonna be able to meet each other.
So you actually got an award for filmmaking, being a young filmmaker.
Yes, back in 2013, I was awarded the Governor's Arts Awards for Youth Leadership Award, and I was nominated by Concord TV, the Concord Community Television.
And you worked with them over the years.
Since my first day at the Concord High School Film Society until I graduated, I used to volunteer at Concord TV and everything. But it was very.
And was that experience that prompted you to decide to make film, or had you actually wanted to do it prior to that?
That was back when I was in 7th grade. That's when I started getting into video making. I didn't really make films, but I used to make short videos to tell a story and things like that. But I only got my idea of film after I saw other short films, after I saw people actually making short films that are more professional looking, that actually look like a movie, and I was like, I want to do something like that. I want to put a little bit more work into it, not necessarily just YouTube videos. I want to bring it to another level.
Right. Yeah, and there's a whole gradations of skill sets from just doing a really crude, simple movie that you and your friends conceive of to this feature the short film that you worked on was, you can tell that it's quite a production, and it's got really wonderful acting, and it's got great set, it's got great sound, it's got a story, it's got light, all these interesting elements, sound and music. It's very, very well done. That's a pretty quick scale that you've gone in a few years. So you're going to be promoting this.
Yes.
You're going to be appearing at it's called the Snob Film Festival, which is somewhat north of Boston.
Yes.
Would you share about that a little bit?
It happens in Concord, New Hampshire every year, and we're going to be there this year. It's going to be my 3rd consecutive year at the festival.
Awesome.
And we'll be with The Priest, showing The Priest.
And you're going to be continuing to submit that to different
Other
festivals.
Film festivals,
And
yes.
you said you did Sundance?
We did Sundance. We also did the Boston International Film Festival, and we did the Atlanta Film Festival too.
So we'll keep
Fingers crossed for that
keep
one.
the fingers crossed, sure. And so you've got that, which is a pretty full plate for a new director, or an up-and-coming director, I should say. You must have some stuff that you have somewhere down the line. Do you have any other bigger projects you want to make this Priest into a longer movie? You have other things in the making?
Yes, I'm currently writing a feature-length film because my goal before I graduated from high school, I set myself a goal is I need to make a feature before I turn 21.
Wow.
So I got 2 more years ahead of me, and hopefully I can do that. So I'm still writing the movie.
So we'll keep our fingers crossed for you.
Thank you.
And so I'd like to thank you for coming on the show.
Oh, thank you very
Pedro
much.
Pimentel. You're a director and a talented guy, and people can find you about your film. It's online and it's being promoted under, what was it, the Priest the movie?
Yes, moviethepriest.com.
Moviethepriest.com. So I recommend, if you get a chance, the somewhat north of Boston Film Festival is coming up in November. Hopefully we'll get this on air before then so that people can come and see it. And wish you the best of luck. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you
and
very
it was good
much.
having you, Pedro.
Great to have you.
Have you on when you bring your next movie to the
All right, sounds good.
theater. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mike Katrobis, entertainer. What do I mean by entertainer? Stand-up comedian, disc jockey, musician, actor, ordained minister, in-ring announcer, Santa Claus. Do a little bit of everything. A performer for any occasion.
Here I am with comedian Mike Katrobis.
I'm here.
Native of Nashua.
Yes.
And what else? Tell me about yourself. Why are you on my show?
Well, it's amazing, first of all, that we're down the street from my high school where the studio is. So that was kind of cool, a little nostalgia going on there.
Trip down memory lane.
It really was. It really was. Because, I mean, and I've lived in Nashua back and forth for a while, but I'm on your show because I've known you for, God, what, 20 years now?
Yeah, a long time.
Between acting, stand-up comedy, and every other little crazy thing we do in life, here we are.
Juggling and whatnot.
Yeah, whatever's needed to be done, right? We definitely do whatever it takes, right?
Absolutely.
Anything to stay out of a desk job.
Anything to stay out of a desk job, yeah. Who was it? Mike Donovan talked about that, about how comedy was at one point it was a subversive job. Too many people do it now for it to be subversive.
Right, yeah, true, true.
But yeah, it definitely beats sitting in a cubicle.
Well, look at
popping
half
your
of
head
our comedians that we work with right now. Could you see them in a day job? No. No, I really couldn't. You know, I can't see one of us sitting behind a desk answering phones, although I did it. I did mortgages for 10 years, and it was just miserable. That's where I get a lot of my stress from.
I did insurance for a while, and that
Yeah.
was not the job for me. Your files? Yeah, they're somewhere.
Yeah, we can sell anything. We just don't know what to do with it when we get it. So it's kind of where we are.
So let's see. I wish I had dredged up some of the old pictures of you. You get some fabulous pictures from days of yore.
Yes, my throwback Thursdays.
Your entertainment career looks like it really began in earnest at the York's Animal Kingdom.
You know, actually, because we're local in Nashua, it actually began a little before that.
Really?
In Benson's.
Ah,
Benson's
no
Animal
kidding.
Park in Hudson. I was a costume character, summer job, 16-year-old kid. And the clown that was there doing shows, I loved what he did. So I started playing with his props and his juggling and his unicycles, and that kind of began my road.
Wow.
Yeah.
So your career began at Benson's.
Benson's.
Which is now just like a
Well, it's now Benson's like picnic area.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Conservation land. or
right,
something
right.
like that.
Bring your
Wow,
dog and
I didn't
hang
know
out.
that. I didn't know you started at Benson's.
Yeah. And then I became a clown from there. York's Wild Kingdom heard about me. I did a guest spot up there, I guess you could call it.
Is that like a clown audition, basically?
Kind of. I got hired to be a magician to take over for the guy that was on vacation. So I did his magic tricks in his show. Then the last day I was there, I put my makeup on and did the whole show as a clown. And the owners liked it better, so they hired me back the next season. So I literally graduated high school.
Clown coming in.
Right.
His name is Katrobis.
I graduated high school. That night, I didn't go to parties. I moved up to Maine to start my career as a clown.
Wow.
I ran away and joined the circus out of high school.
Wow. And so, were you working up there when you started doing hosting spots?
Yeah, so just hanging out
what
in
was that place? Pure
Pure
Platinum.
Platinum in
In
Dover.
Dover.
Yes, the Dover Bowl. You
Right,
can bowl on one
Dover
side,
Bowl.
dance on the other. Yeah, I just started hanging out there when I was late 20-year-old, almost 21, and then
Oh, wow. I guess that's a long time ago.
yeah, right. That's what I was. Yeah, right. It's over 20-something years ago. I started singing karaoke just for fun, but being goofy, the host started liking me, so I started hosting karaoke with him. And back then, karaoke was huge because it was new. So you'd get 200 people on a Friday night for karaoke night, you know. And then I started opening the comedy night for him, just doing the welcome and the rules and stuff like that. And Paul Wayne, do you remember Paul Wayne?
sure do.
He was the first guy I met that said, do you have 5 minutes worth of material? And I went, what does material mean? Like, what do you mean material? I'm just being
Muslin?
I'm just being an idiot on a microphone. He goes, can you write jokes? I go, I don't know. So that kind of started the ball rolling, and open mic at Stitches, March of 1993
Oh, wow.
was the first stand-up night I actually did professionally.
I'm trying to think, because I did one Stitches, but it was actually in the 80s. So in like 89, I think I did one night at Stitches, a Sunday night when George McDonald ran.
Right.
and it was, like, just not what I expected. Like, oh, it's not like punchline. It's not magic.
No,
it was.
it's not.
I think George McDonald called it comedy hell.
Yeah, it's
And
kind of
that's
what it
kinda
was.
what it was.
But it was weird because back then those open mics were packed.
Right.
Like, there were tons of people there. Patrice O'Neill, the late great Patrice O'Neill, hosted that night for me. I still have it on tape, which is great.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. So that's where it began, my friend.
And then, so you start doing the stand-up and what have you. You also do some music.
Yeah, I was
DJ?
I was a drummer in a band. The band broke up. Then I became just a percussionist, congas, bongos, things like that. Play out with acoustic guys. So I haven't done it in a couple of years, but I did that for a long period of time. DJ in weddings, ring announcing, MMA fighting, like.
How did you find the MMA? Did you ever do fighting? No.
Well, I did. I was a kickboxer when I was 16, 17, 18 years old, but that had nothing to do with it. I was looking on Craigslist. We're looking for part-time gigs, and it said sideline commentator, ring announcer, blah, blah, blah. So I went up and auditioned. And they go, have you ever done it? I go, no. They go, well, let me hear your thing. Now, I've always had this cheesy voice from back in the days. Do you remember the ride to Himalaya where you go forward and backwards and there's a guy in the DJ booth going, hey, you guys want to go a little faster?
Yeah, sure. Was that like the Scrambler?
Yeah, something like that, right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they always did have a DJ. I remember them playing like Jungle Love or something like that. Yeah,
so I did that in my teen years as well up in York Beach. So I used that voice. I'm like, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. And they were like, that's awesome.
Which is also the strip club DJ.
Thanks. Which I've done too. Golden Banana. I worked there for about a year. So it all kind of ties in.
The Golden Banana.
Yeah.
Huh? Wow.
Yeah. That's a day job for a comedian, man. I worked the 12 to 6 shift.
Sure. Joey Carroll. And
Joey Carroll did it
Larry
there.
Rapucci.
Yep. Easy money. Back in the day.
A little bit of greenery for the scenery, folks.
Back in the day, smoking was allowed in buildings, and I was a smoker back then. I'd sit in the DJ booth. The girls give me their music. So I'm smoking butts, drinking coffee, and every 6 minutes I would go, all right, come to the main stage. Let's welcome Ginger. And then I'd smoke butts for another 6-10 minutes. You know what I mean?
What's
Easy
not
work.
to like about that job?
Oh, come on now. Easy work.
That's great. So how about acting? How'd you fall into that?
Yeah, everyone always told me to get into acting, and it wasn't my thing. I just like being who I am. So I got into background work. I just went to an open call for extra. So, excuse me, background actor.
Background actor.
Yes, don't make it small.
Don't minimize it. Right?
Yeah, don't minimize that for me. So I went to an open call for Mall Cop. First Mall Cop with Kevin
Paul
James.
Blart Mall Cop with Kevin James.
Yes. So for 14 days, I was in the Burlington Mall, walking back and forth during Christmas rush hour. That was my job. Never see me once in the movie.
Oh, really?
14 days on set.
Nice.
Walking with a bag, one day I was a dad walking a carriage. Not even once.
Wow.
So that was my first experience, but then I looked at the paychecks and I go, wow, that's not bad for walking around, getting fed, hanging out with people. So I started doing more of that, eventually joined the Screen Actors Guild, and I got my first actual speaking role coming out in March.
In what film?
It's called Bleed for This. It's the story of Vinny Pazienza, the boxer.
Oh, boxer, okay.
I'm a ring announcer in his comeback main event final fight.
And where did that happen?
The Dunkin' Donuts Center in Rhode Island.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And was that where it actually happened?
I think it might have been, actually. Wow. Because he was a Rhode Island guy. So yeah, that comes out. I actually went and did some voiceover in New York 2 weeks ago for it as well. So,
awesome.
Yeah, big debut.
That sounds like fun. Yeah, my big debut was seeing my bald spot in the church pew in the Boondock Saints.
Nice.
That is my bald spot, right there.
You know how many times you see the back of my head in movies? Look, being the tall, bald guy, you can't be in the front of the camera because you take away from everything. So I'm always like the fill-in-the-blank spot in the back corner. You know what I mean? So a lot of times you'll see me, they're like, okay, you start over there and walk in the other direction. So you see my head walking away, just like you, the back of my head.
What do you have any bad acting experiences? Have you my bad one was doing some music video for, I can't remember what kind. It was either like death rock or hip hop. It was some kind of horrible experience. And after about 5 minutes listening to a bunch of, attractive 20-year-old women saying, what the hell are you doing here, buddy? I said, I have a small shred of dignity left, so I'm going to walk out of this place before I kick over a $10,000 camera.
Right.
So I walked out.
Right.
Did you ever have any bad acting experiences?
Well, The least amount of acting I ever had to do was a couple weeks ago. I helped a buddy with an independent film.
Oh, nice.
I played a dying guy.
Dying guy.
Dying
That
guy.
was your...
So literally, I was laying on a bed, and the wife had all the lines, and she was crying because I was dying. And my only part, here's what it was. So when they said action, my eyes were open,
Oh, you die.
and that's it.
Ah.
I fade away.
Well, you know, Kevin Costner's first role was the body in The Big Chill.
Oh, that's true. That's right. So
There you go, Mike.
there are no small parts, right?
You're on your way up.
That's you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, actually, I played. When I worked at the New England Art Museum, there was a bunch of young kids. They're in their early 20s, I think, and they did a movie, and I got to play some cadaver. Like, this guy's hard to move. Shut up.
Do we ever say no to something? Is that what it comes down to?
You know, I've now said no twice, and here here is the bar for my standard. I will not do plumber's crack.
Oh, all right.
So about probably 7 or 8 years ago, they said, we've got a plumbing company, and they want you to bend over a sink and show your crack. I said, you know, I'm a man of little to no standards, but that's my bar.
Wow.
And then I think earlier this year, I got another one, and it was like, no thanks.
I don't think I've had one yet. I don't think I've had one where I said, that's questionable. Like for Bleed for this, I had to actually grow my hair.
Oh, that's right, because it was in the 70s or 80s?
80s. It was in the 80s, and it wasn't a bald thing then, so they go, can you grow your hair back? I go, I think so. 10 years ago when I started shaving it, I had a full head of hair. I just wanted the style. So they said, you have 45 days, don't shave. So I let it grow in, and it started coming in good, and then it just stopped. So here had a little layer, and then here got really thick like normal. So I go, oh my God, I can't grow it back again. So, a little scary.
You grew into your baldness.
Yeah, and even some people say, they go, you'll get more roles if you at least have that. And I go, I can't walk around looking like that. It just doesn't look good. Some guys can pull it off, but
Like
thankfully,
a background worker in Boogie Nights.
Right, yeah, right? Yeah, no, I'm good. So.
So I usually ask my comedian friends, I have a threefer that I like to ask them. And the first one is, what's the best comedy show that you've done? You can extrapolate it into film, but if you want to stick with just the best comedy show that you've done. If you got a couple, you can talk about it.
I mean, it's kind of hard to pick the one best one, but I had a couple that were just amazing. So a couple years ago, I went over to the Marshall Islands, the island of Kwajalein. And there's still some military there, a lot of civilian contractors and stuff, but it was the last day we were there. It was an outdoor show. Everyone was in beach chairs, and it's just felt so good to do a show for people on an island that really don't get a lot of entertainment.
Right.
So that was one of my favorite shows.
And that was like a ridiculously long flight and everything like that, right?
It was so we went 2 hours to Jersey.
Yep.
Then it was like
California.
16 hours directly to Hawaii.
Oh, direct.
Direct to Hawaii, and then another 5 to Kwajalein. So, and we landed the day before. Or the day, it's something like that, the day after, whatever it was.
International date line.
Really crazy the way it works. Like Monday morning, I was in Kwajalein eating breakfast, watching Sunday afternoon football.
Nice.
So it was creepy. So that was one of the greatest.
Back in time.
Yeah. One of the best shows. I've had a couple.
And who was that? That was with?
That was with me, Kyle Crawford, Steve Scarfo, and Gary Cowett.
Oh, okay, great.
The 4 of us flew over there. We did 3 shows, 1 on another island nearby, and then 2 on Kwajalein. Nice. A family-friendly one, which nobody came to because nobody wanted family-friendly. They just wanted to offer it just in case. And then that one.
Literally nobody showed up to the family-friendly one?
All right, there was like 6 people.
Okay.
Yeah, it's close enough to know people. So we still did what we had to do. We kept it clean, and those 6 people seemed pleased that we did it for them.
Nice.
You know.
Any other ones you can think of as best? Or was that your...
It's so amazing that I have so many of the worst in my head.
Well, that's coming.
You know, you know what? I've had a lot of really good shows with a lot of great guys. We have a great group of comedians in this area. So
yeah, Boston is a great. New England, writ large is a great.
Yeah, so no one monumental one, just a lot of great ones. Anytime I work with Lenny Clark, it's a great time.
Sure.
Joe Yannetti,
great guy
you know.
To work with. Joe is always a great guy to work with.
So a lot of good times.
Best, worst.
Worst show.
And you can again.
And I've talked about this in various places because it's so memorable. So it was on a Tuesday night at 6 o'clock. I think it was like Scarborough, Maine or something. We were at I think it was called the Clam Hut.
Oh, jeez.
You played it, didn't you? You did it, didn't you? So for those of you that don't know,
The Clam Hut.
it's a little clam shack, and this picnic table's outside, and a little stage which is on the flatbed of a truck. Okay? And when you stand up on the flatbed, you can't really see the people because there's umbrellas over the picnic table, so you're looking over a sea of umbrellas. So I get down off the stage and I stand in front of them so they could actually see me now. Half these people aren't there for the show, they're just there having dinner. And in the background, you could hear, order number 57, your clam strips are ready. Most miserable show ever. I ran to my car, got balloon... Extra tartar sauce, extra tartar sauce. I got balloon animals out of my... I always carry a bag of balloons. And I made balloon
Don't
animals for the
ask.
kids.
Don't
Don't
ask.
ask. It's creepy. So I made balloon animals for the kids, and it was still fun.
Nice.
But it was one of the
That's
roughest
making
shows.
lemon out of some seriously bad lemonade.
Luckily, I have that skill. I can do it. So
So that's one. You got another worse one?
years ago, I was still new, and I probably only had 10 to 15 minutes. But like any other comedian, if somebody says, "Do you have a half an hour?"
I can do it.
Absolutely.
I can do it.
Get up to a place where it was Anthony's in Gardner, Maine.
Oh, okay.
This is years ago. And I got to 6 minutes, didn't remember any of my other stuff, had 24 to go, and just, most horrible night of my life. Nothing funny came out of my mouth for 24 minutes.
Yeah, that's painful. Yeah, especially when like, if you have stuff to say and it's tough, at least you're talking, right?
Right.
As opposed if you're just trying to think of something to say.
Now, if you told me to do 2 hours, I could do an hour and a half on random whatever. I could just talk. We get the skill set to do it. But back then, this is, mid-90s or something, miserable.
It just wasn't there.
Just
And then
wasn't there.
Your most unusual show.
Most unusual show. God, we get a lot of those. We do have some people we work for that put us in the most awkward positions ever. Anytime I'm in a comedy in the round situation,
Right.
that's always awkward. Thankfully, I'm an active person, active comedian, so it's a little easy for me. But I think one of the most awkward ones was a old folks home. They wanted comedy at noon on like a Thursday.
Ooh, yeah. And in general, comedy during the daytime.
They
is
wheeled
tough
in the
sell.
people. I'm not even kidding. Wheeled in the people, machines, oxygen masks, and we had to do
Which is all very much conducive to a great show.
Right, right. And you know my humor. It's not really that bad, but for 90-year-old people on oxygen, a little risque. So I literally just talked to the people for 30 minutes. I didn't do a single joke. I tried to do almost like a Robin Williams, Patch Adams type, make fun of the
Right.
situation, but it was the most uncomfortable situation I've ever been in.
And when do you go back?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to call anytime soon, Greg. I
That's
think-
an old comedy joke.
Yeah.
Somebody explains the most horrible situation they've been in,
Right.
and then you ask, well, who books it?
Right.
Any plans, anything coming up? That you can tell us about before we close out the show.
You know, one of the best things I got coming up comes up in March. Actually, my birthday week, I finally got booked in the Borgata in Atlantic City for a week.
Ah, congratulations.
Thank you very much. So that'll be a really big week coming up in March.
Congratulations.
Thank
well,
you.
My good friend Mike Katrobis, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you very much, sir.
And we can find you online.
MikeKcomic.com has all the tags to Instagram, Twitter, the whole 9 yards.
And I didn't even make a single Greek joke.
No, which is nice. I appreciate that.
Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, buddy.
All righty. Cheers. If you or someone you know would like to be a guest on The Boggis Hour, email us here at theboggushour@gmail.com.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.